welcome to another really fun video for December. This video is about tips for running, or you want to start running, here's some tips. Slash, do you want to lose weight while running? We have practical advice. I don't know what to call it, but it's a pretty basic, just an advice video.
Yeah, and you would honestly think that advice is not needed for something like running, but we have learned some things that we want to share.
Yeah, big things. Things that like really helped me, because it's pretty intimidating to think like, oh, and just have the mental mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna be a runner. Like that's not.
Yeah, should we tell like what our history is of running?
Sure. Mine is when I was 21 or 22, I consistently ran for 3 straight months, 3 times a week, for 3 months. That's the only time I've ever consistently run in my life. The rest of the time was running because I was running from something, or running because I was late for something. That was literally the only time. Usually I was really out of breath, and so I don't have a history really.
Okay, so I am going to tell 3 very short stories so you guys could know about the history of running. So first of all, when I went to elementary school, I was in like kindergarten or 1st grade, and I was really upset because I always constantly got tagged for run when we were playing tag. And my dad was like, Amy, what's wrong? And I was telling him about it. And then he was like, well, how do you run? Like, because he didn't think I was that so slow. So he had me run back to like a tree or something. And he saw how I run. And would you guys like to know how 5 or 6-year-old Amy ran? I ran like I thought a princess would run. So like I had my wrist out, like all dainty, and I was kind of on my tiptoe, and I was
so like Princess Peach and like.
Okay, Princess Peach, but I was like
Nintendo games.
In my head, I was like, I'm going to run like a princess. And so my dad had to teach me how, like he had to say like, no, don't run, because that's why I was getting tagged, because I was like no. And then when I was in junior high, every single week for PE we had to run a mile. It was on Wednesdays, and so all of my prayers for Tuesday and Wednesday morning were dedicated to rain. Like, we lived in Southern California, and I just prayed for rain so we wouldn't have to run. My prayers were not answered the way I wanted to. And then my last bit of like story with running is I did participate in a Run Disney 5K, probably in like maybe 2012 or 13.
It was right after we met.
Okay, so like 2013
yeah.
Then. And then so I kind of trained for it, but then I got really sick and I couldn't continue training, and then I just gave up. And so when the Run Disney 5K happened, it was just like really hard emotionally for me, because I was just disappointed that I gave up and I didn't go. So I do not like running, and I have emotional problems with running.
I'm sort of the opposite. Once I started running this time, I really kind of, I don't know, set something off in me where I got really excited about it, and I started wanting to do it more, and I get excited to run now. And the longer runs and stuff in the 5K race that we did, I was really excited about that, and it turned out really good for me too. So
yeah. Basically I do not enjoy running. I don't like the process of running, but I really like the results, and I think it's really good for me, and I like the results of running. And a lot of, like, it's good obviously physically, and it's like I could see it changing my body shape, but it's also really good for like setting up like healthy positive routine and mentally. Yeah,
the routine is good.
Should we start off with some tips?
Yeah, so let's start with some tips. That's where I was just about to get to.
Oh, sorry.
So I'll start with a tip for me, which would be, if you're thinking about doing it, just do it. And the best way to do it is to do it slowly. If you've never run before in your life, if this is something that you know you're super out of shape, and it's really hard for you to sort of wrap your head around running an entire mile or something, like that might scare you, just start really small. And I would really, really recommend to download an easy 5K program that, like, either the Jeff Galloway Easy 5K, it's through Lolo, I think is the name of the app. Or I know a lot of people do couch to 5K and do intervals, because if you do intervals, it'll really start to build you up. Now, I did 1 minute.
Can I interrupt for a
Yeah.
second? Intervals are like, for your time that you're running, you're not running straight. You're doing like run, walk, walk. That's what intervals mean.
Yeah, so for me, I started with 1 minute run, 1 minute walk. Amy did
So I started
different.
I started off 15-second running, 45-second walking. And that, if you are like, I thought that was so good for me. Like, especially if you kind of have a bad attitude about running, but you just feel like it might be an accessible way, or like it honestly is a cheap way to exercise because you don't have to join a gym or anything like that. I would say 15 seconds goes fast. So like, even if you are the slowest runner, do not care about speed. But okay, I'm going to take over.
It's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah. So my intervals were really slow.
Yeah.
Or,
She was 15 seconds, 45 seconds for 15 seconds run, 45 seconds walk. I was 1 minute run, 1 minute walk, but that's just because like that's what it recommended to me, and I've always been the person that sort of, especially when it comes to physical stuff, like once I get going physically, I wasn't physical for a long time, but I have the mentality to sort of push myself, and so
I have none of that. I have none of that.
And so I was really able to sort of push myself into be like, hey, just run a minute, it's fine, it'll go quick. And so I've gotten to the point where it's, you know, I'm doing 2 minute now, and I'm about to move to 3 probably soon, but not to brag, I'm not trying to brag. But like really just start. That's the best way to do it, and start small, because it can be a pretty overwhelming thing to go outside and be like, oh my gosh, I'm running, and there might be other people running outside there with you. But if you just ignore what somebody might think of you while you're running, like nobody cares. Nobody's judging you for the way you look when you're running, or, you know, like it's not like people are gathering just to stare at you to run. Like that's like people, honestly, they don't even notice or care. And so like just sort of go out there and do one step at a time, do a really small interval. Start like Amy. If you've never run before, do 15 or 30 seconds. If 15's, you know, the perfect amount, do that for a while. Do it consistently. And that's a huge second tip. Sorry, not to jump you. We'll go.
How dare
but
you?
Just be consistent. Be consistent with running, because
Yes.
you'll increase your strength in your legs and like your lungs and all this other stuff. So those are my first couple of tips.
Yeah, okay, so I will just say, I'll just agree with him, but in my own words is, don't, I would say try to set yourself up for success, not failure, right? So similar with the weight loss thing, where, if you download these programs, they will for sure help you, and they'll set up a plan. And I would say really try to make sure that you are sticking to that schedule. So for the most part, they'll start you off with like running 3 times a day, and a lot of it, oh yeah,
3
times a week.
Not a day.
No, not a day. Oh my gosh, what a life no, 3 times a week. Thank you. Yeah, so they'll start you off with 3 times a week, and if you're really into it in the beginning, or you want to see results fast, I would really encourage you just to stick with what they have, so you don't burn yourself out, or so you don't injure yourself.
Yeah, that's key.
And
is the injury thing, because if a lot of this is, if you're like, it just, I know for us, at least for me, training for so long before our 5K race really helped, because once we hit the 5K race, it was like nothing. It was like, oh, this is just a short run today. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I was never out of breath almost the entire time I ran, and it was just a really fun thing. It's okay.
But I did it, but I finished.
Right. But yeah, you don't want to injure yourself. And I know I've read a lot of things online, or heard from people online about how, you know, they immediately jumped in, they went 5 times a week and did all this other stuff. And next thing you know, they either don't want to do it anymore, or they injured themselves and never got back into it. So you want to hold yourself back. If you're excited about starting running, you really want to just stick with 3 times a week, because that's the best way to do it. And do a program. Make sure you do a program, because the program will help you build that, you know, like endurance, and will help you build the muscle strength that you need to the point where you're gonna run a 5K. You don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, you will surprise yourself even if you go really slow. Like, I cannot emphasize to you guys enough how slow I am. I cannot emphasize it. Like, I wish I had a good metaphor, but I don't. But anyway, I am really, really slow walking and running, but I have gotten better, I would say, in a quick amount of time. So
yeah, she was only 5 minutes behind me on our 5K day, right?
Yes.
If that.
Yes, I think it was like basically I did a 15-minute mile for a race day.
That's great.
So that should tell you. Yeah. Anyway, any more like general tips before we get into like a little bit more specific things?
Just, you know, running can be a pretty positive experience. You know, there's a lot of, you know, when you're exercising a lot, you get a lot of endorphins and you feel really good. But like, part of that is, you know, when you're pushing yourself and you see your progress and how good you're gonna feel really good about yourself, which is gonna want to make yourself push yourself a little bit further. And so, all it takes is just the first step, you know. And there's a lot of people out there who like, oh, I need a fancy watch to run and I need all these different devices and stuff. Like, just, you need your feet and you need some shoes, and like, you know, get an app that is free that has, you know, someone talking to you, telling you when to run and when to walk. That's really all you need to start running.
Okay, so let's talk about shoes then, because I had walking shoes that I used to run in before, and I did get injured. It really wasn't bad, but the shoes were not made for running, and so I started this program before Eric did, maybe about like 3 or 4 weeks before he wanted to join me. And so I had to take some time off because I didn't have the correct shoes. Now, everybody's feet and everybody's preference is going to be different, but one thing is I would recommend maybe for like Christmas or your birthday or something, if you do want to start running, get shoes that are specific for running. I don't know enough to tell you the real difference between like walking shoes and running shoes, but all I know is I had walking shoes and I was like, they're shoes, I'll just run in them. And then they worked for a while, but maybe about 2 weeks in or 2.5 weeks in, I did have a pain in my, like, I got hurt. My foot, there was, in the arch of my foot, basically, I think there just wasn't proper support for it. And so like it hurt so bad, and I couldn't even walk, basically, for it.
I remember that.
So, and running shoes don't necessarily have to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
a lot of them are, but like,
a lot of them are.
Yeah, the thing about running shoes is you can go to, you know, a million different shoe stores and everybody will give you their 2 cents about running shoes, and it's completely different. No matter who it is, it's going to be some sort of different advice. And so I've heard from a lot of people about going to running stores and getting fitted and then running on the treadmill. That's probably the best way to do it if you're willing to blow the $200 on a brand new pair of running shoes that you could work in. But we
didn't have that money.
We didn't have that money, and so what I did was we went to DSW and got Amy some cheaper running shoes.
I think mine was like $40 or $50.
I think they were like 80. They're just under. I remember them being just under $100. Which is half the price of a normal pair. Running shoes usually start at $180, which is crazy. And so then we went to Skechers for me, and it was like the $45 pair of Skechers running shoes, and they're like the Go Run ones, and they've worked perfectly for me. I have 2 pairs of different sort of Skechers running shoes, and one pair, eventually after about 4 weeks of running in them, I had to switch to the other pair because it was starting to hurt my foot a little bit, because it was forcing my toes kind of in a weird direction. And that's just because each shoe is kind of built differently, and so you really have to try those shoes on. If you can run on a treadmill in the store, I would recommend doing it, because you're going to see like, okay, this one pair is going to give me blisters here, this one pair is going to hurt my arch here, because they're all built completely different. And so with the ones that we got, yours ended up being pretty good, right? Except for the first week. So
I did get, so one thing is I bought them, I tried them on in the store, I ran a little bit in the store, but I was so new, and I still consider myself really new and inexperienced, where it's like, yeah, I ran, nothing happened. Like, I didn't really know what to look for. And so my shoes actually, my new running shoes actually did end up getting me blisters. But we were able to fix that. Like, I did get blisters, but then either I broke it in or Eric got me new socks. They're just like thicker socks basically, and then I had no problems. Obviously the blisters had to heal and things like that. So if you have a similar situation to me and you're like, oh my gosh, I just sank this money into these new shoes and I'm getting blisters and all this stuff, you know, I would just say try thicker socks.
Yeah, or just new socks too, because newer socks, you know, have the like, they're not all worn out from being washed 1,000 times, and so they're a little bit, I feel like, softer. They're like way softer. So I have that recently, Monday, when I ran a couple days ago, I had an older pair of socks. I had one, I never match my socks. It's part of a problem I have, but
it's not a problem. It's just a lifestyle.
Yeah, I learned from a good friend of mine named Anna, who used to wear unmatched socks constantly, and I was like, why am I always looking for matched socks? Like, I'm gonna be like Anna and just not care. Like, who cares? They're just socks, right?
Anna is a trendsetter.
Yeah, so thanks, Anna. You rock. So I stopped matching my socks, and now, so I pulled out a regular, you know, just a regular kind of newer sock, and then an old sock that had been worn in, and actually I found out later when I took it off there was a hole in it, that it rubbed my toe like really badly, and so I actually felt like I was starting to get a blister by the end of my run, which I was like, I haven't gotten, I think, more than one day. We came back from a 5.5 mile run and I had the itty bitty little tiny itty bitty blister on the bottom of one of my toes. But my I've been blessed with like wide feet where the toes are super wide, so they don't rub a lot, so I don't have a lot of blister issues. But make sure, yeah, when you're getting shoes, really make sure you try them on in every scenario you can think of. Walk around the store, run around the store. Really make sure that they fit properly, because
you might not know.
You might get home and start running on them and be like, you know, a month into it, like, I'm starting to get blisters all of a sudden. Switch up your socks, do other things that might help you a little bit, because the worst thing that can happen to you is getting injured or having foot issues while you're trying to run, because that's your number one tool. Well, running is your feet, and you want to be semi-comfortable when you're running, so that you don't have to think about your feet. For me, I don't think about it. I put my shoes on, I go outside, I'm not thinking about my feet, I'm thinking about my legs usually, and breathing. So like, shoes are super important, and just make sure that you take the time to sort of find the right pair of shoes for you, because we can recommend shoes all day long, and they might not fit your feet right. Yeah. So, who knows? Shoes are really hard. You know, if there's people out there recommending certain running shoes, it's because it worked for them. And so I would try all the shoes you can for yourself before you kind of make the decision.
But I would also say don't even think about it too. Like, don't worry yourself about it. You know, just get what you can afford that are specific running shoes, and I'm sure it will be fine. Like, it's not a big deal.
Because if you're new and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this, don't blow $200 on a pair of shoes. Go to Skechers or go whatever. Find like $45, $50 pair of running. Like, make sure they are specifically for running. But get the running ones, and then just start running. And then if you feel like, oh, hey, this is for me, then maybe in 6 months when you wear out your shoes, get like a good pair that will last a little bit longer. That's, you know, all we can recommend for that. So, next tip from you?
The next tip is try a podcast or a book on tape. So, for listening. So, I am not a music person in general, unless it's Disney music, or there's few exceptions. But in general, I'm not really a music person. So, if you're not really a music person like I am, make sure you are getting something that can distract you. And I would recommend either podcasts or books on tape to listen to while you're running, because your program does start off really small, but then you're going to be going, like, you will surprise yourself. It may sound crazy right now, but you will be able to run for an hour in no time flat, and you can do it, I promise. But an hour, at least for me, an hour listening to music, I could not just do that, like, because I need to be like, So like I said, I am not a runner. I guess technically I am a runner, but I don't enjoy the process of running. So I have to have my mind as far away from my body as possible. And so getting lost in either a podcast or a book really helps that. Libby, Libby, is a great app. It's free and it works through your public library, so you could download audiobooks. And then I would even recommend, like, if you're listening to something, put it on a higher speed. Like, you could make it like double speed or 1.5 speed, so that they're speaking a little bit faster, so you really have to concentrate to pay attention to what they're saying. And so like that level of concentration on what's going on in your head will not make you think like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe, or my legs are getting tired, or whatever. So for me, like, that works for me. It's like I try to get into my head and stay there and ignore my body. That's what I try to do.
I'm the opposite. I made a very specific like playlist music-wise for running. I use the same one every single time I run. It has like super upbeat motivational songs. It has
and if I was to listen, like if I had an upbeat song, I'd be like, shut up, don't tell me what to, you know, like. So
like mine are pretty like, they're pretty like high, I don't know, high intensity songs. I don't know, their BPM is super fast. If you know what that is, beats per minute. It's usually 120 and above, so that you can, so it's like fast enough for me to sort of keep a rhythm. Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple songs on there that are like perfect running songs. Some are kind of but yeah, if you're, you know, if you're into music, I would really recommend to take the time to make a good playlist for working out, because it for me, like, sometimes where I'm like, oh my gosh, like this mile is brutal, you know, like I'll hear a song and it'll sort of pick me up. A really good one is
I wish I could be like that.
Is Thunderstruck by AC/DC. It has such a fast like rhythm that like it makes me go a little bit faster, and so like it always is a pickup song, because I'm like, okay, go a little bit faster, go a little bit faster. And so and Take On Me by Aha is a great beat because it's consistent and you can do the steps as you're running. It's good. So yeah, I would recommend like put stuff in your ears and listen while you're running, because it really helps, especially if you have an app. I know we both use the same running app, and so like Jeff Galloway's app, and so just, you know, it's for some people you might not like either one of those things, and you just like to run with your own thoughts, which there are people out there that do that. And so, but I can't do that. I need music because I need a rhythm to keep myself going. And so, good tip. It's a great tip about stuff in your ears.
Yeah. So also, you might want, if you're running outside, I would recommend invest in a really cheap armband from Amazon.
$10 on Amazon.
Yeah, or I don't remember. It's really cheap. We use it all the time, and it totally works. So
yeah, you slip your phone in it, strap it to your arm, and then you go for a run, and it stays on there.
And it's really cheap. You don't have to get a fancy one or whatever.
Yeah, I have a big fat arm, and so like mine doesn't fit here, so I have to wear it here. But it doesn't bother me when I'm running. It's, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, any other?
Oh, I have lady tips, but I'm going to save those for the end. Do you have any? Actually, I'll just tell my lady tips right now. Okay, so I had an experience in the beginning, not now, that I totally didn't know like was a thing. Okay, so generally speaking, when like everybody knows about like bouncy boobs when you're running, okay? And so obviously get a good supportive sports bra. Target or Amazon will be your friend. Okay, but this is what I did not realize. This bouncing is not the only place. I'm sorry, but whatever. My butt cheeks were flapping. My butt cheeks were flapping against my thighs in the beginning of running. Like, you know, I complained about it, and it is so weird. Because, like, when you're trying to actually do it, it's such a weird feeling. Like, I did not know that was a thing but it happened to me. So, it totally did. And it was so weird. Like, it was such a weird feeling. But anyway, if that happened to you, or if that does happen to you, you are not alone. I have never heard anybody say this before, though. So please, tell me or message me on Instagram or something like that, so I know I'm not alone. But so what I did is that did get away because I also, in between the days that I was running, I was also doing like weightlifting in the beginning, and I really was focusing on like squats, and so that helped. Well, I think the exercise from running and then the squats, like my butt has gotten a lot smaller and the shape has changed. And so it's, I feel a little uncomfortable talking about this in case you can't tell, but I do want you guys to know, so I don't, cause like, I don't want you guys to feel weird because I felt weird. So I just am going to share my weirdness with you, so maybe you know you're not alone. Anyway, but if you continue to do some strength training with it that specifically focus on your butt, that will definitely help, because now my butt is, I don't even think about my butt, you know. Oh, I do actually. I do think about my butt because this is a really important thing. So I have had lots of struggles when it comes to running. I'll stick with the lady things first. You can get yeast infections if you are not wearing correct or good pants that are breathable, if you're prone to yeast infections. So I just am. I'm very, very prone to them. And so they were workout pants, but they were like the sweat wicking workout pants, and those aren't necessarily breathable. So you know what, I'm wearing them now. I am wearing these kind of pants. They're really, really not cute leggings. I don't like them very much, but they're very breathable. So just beware that, just make sure you can breathe all over the place.
Yeah.
Because it's been that one time where I wore like the typical, like, they were cute leggings that I got, and they were for exercise, but like my body instantly was mad at me.
Yeah. Well, that brings another good tip.
Oh.
Is chafing. Chafing can be really painful, and so we would really recommend, like, there's a product for it. I think it's over here actually. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Thanos is keeping it in his glove for me. So this is Gold Bond. The sticker's broken. Gold Bond Friction Defense.
Or Body Glide.
Or Body Glide. It is another brand name for it. Basically what it is you put it on in areas that would be prone to chafe. So for me, it's the thigh area, which, fun fact, I don't really chafe there anymore at all, but I used to. Like, 100 pounds ago, I would chafe there kind of regularly, especially if we walked around Disneyland all day. Like, I would get tons of chafe spots. And so I would, every morning before I go for a run, I make sure I have that. And the other thing for guys, not necessarily, I don't know if women have these, but guys, kind of longer underwear that goes down to maybe mid-thigh would be really good too. For me, like, that helps me with, so that my legs aren't like, and then all of a sudden there's a fire there. And so, like, because chafing can
That's
be super...
good for girls too.
Chafing can be super painful.
Oh, it's the worst.
Especially because, like, if you want yourself to be, it's hard mentally to be consistent about running if you're always injured or something's off, or, like, oh, I'm chafing again, oh, my feet hurt, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, what's the point in doing this anymore if these are the things that are going to happen? And so, like, making sure that you kind of cover, yourself with things that are going to happen. Chafing, or like your feet might hurt. Like, in some cases you can rub the chafe like stuff on your toes and on your feet so that you aren't for blisters, so you won't be as prone to get them, especially if you're doing short 20-minute runs.
Can I talk about my other personal problem?
Sure.
Okay, so this is another problem that I had, and it's not uncommon. So I think it's called like runner's stomach or whatever. So I had TMI. Everything I say is basically TMI. But I guess I should have said that before my butt cheeks clapping or whatever. But anyways, so if I push myself too hard, meaning if I run faster than I actually can, I dry heave, or I can throw up, or for a while there I was getting all day diarrhea if I was running. And we realized that I do dry heave if I push myself too hard. I just can't go too faster than my body wants, because I start to like dry heave. And the diarrhea came from dehydration, which is crazy because like I drink a lot of water, but when you are running and if you're sweating and stuff, water isn't always enough. You have to have electrolytes. So Eric forced me, because I didn't really like sports drinks at all because I thought they were nasty. But Eric forced me.
You scoot into the shot. There you go.
Sorry. Eric forced me to start having Gatorades, and then that cured my problem. So if you're having stomach issues, I would really recommend trying something like we do Gatorade Zero or whatever. Even if you think it's gross, please just try it, because that was a really simple solution. And even if you drink water, sometimes water is not actually all that your body needs, because you need those electrolytes. And I thought that I would be like, oh, let's do the natural thing, like eat a banana. Banana has potassium and stuff, but that wasn't enough. I had to have those things.
Yeah, it's really important when you're out there, especially, I mean, right now it's pretty cold in Southern California and it's been rainy and stuff, and so like I'm not sweating as much as I had been. But like when it was really hot and we were running in the morning, I would sweat a lot. And so when you're sweating that much, you're losing salt, you're losing magnesium, you're losing all sorts of things. And so you need those electrolytes to really rebalance yourself. Because yeah, water is good. Like you should still drink water all the time while you're exercising and stuff. But like it's that sort of intense sweating that I was doing. And so I really needed something. And so like you can drink Propel waters are good too. I know Smart waters have electrolytes in them. I don't know how good they are when it comes to like after a run or after a workout, but we use Gatorade Zero, like Amy said. I use Propel waters and the little Propel things that you can put in just like a little, water bottle and shake it up. I do that too, and those have really helped me sort of make sure that I'm stay hydrated, because a couple of times I have run knowing slightly that I had drinking too much soda or not enough water the day before, and I feel a little bit more sluggish in my runs. And so you really, as you kind of go along and move into like really understanding your body and how it works while running, like you can sort of feel like, oh, I didn't have enough water yesterday, so that I feel sluggish while I'm running, and then you feel really dehydrated when you get back. And so yeah, electrolytes are good.
I think that's all my tips.
Yeah, I think that's all I really have too.
Do you want to talk about motivation?
Oh yeah, motivation. Thank you. So the biggest thing really that you can do for yourself is find something that can motivate you. And so for me, with running, like I said, I listen to a lot of good songs that sort of motivate me, that have more motivational lyrics, like not over the top cheesy stuff, but like some of the choruses kind of are involved with that. But the other thing is like I really try to surround myself with things that like the podcasts I listen to nowadays are only running related. So I listen to a couple of guys like Billy Yang, and there's one of the people of ultra running or something like that is one of the other podcasts I listen to. I'll try to link them down if I remember. And I'm really bad at that, so sorry, I apologize. If there's anything we ever say that's not linked, please let me know and I'll immediately fix the video and link it. So listen to like good running podcasts that you can find that you really feel like, oh, this motivates me. I watch a lot of YouTube videos about different running marathons or ultra runners or whatever, just because like sometimes I need that extra motivation to be like, okay, I can do this too, because it is a really intimidating thing to go, oh, I'm gonna start running, because like there's a lot of like positive, but there's a ton of negative things that go on in your brain where you're thinking like, I don't, being that person, or becoming obsessed with running and worried that people might alienate you because you're like being too pushy about it, right? And so what
kind of people are doing that?
I don't know. This is just the stuff that goes on in my own brain. And so finding a way to continue yourself to be motivated as you being excited about different things, like one of the earlier videos, sign up for a virtual run if that helps motivate you. For us, when we signed up for the 5K, it was motivation to continue training, and we just decided we're gonna sign up for our 10K soon, so that we don't fall off the cliff of like motivation. We're like, oh, we're not as motivated now because we have nothing to look forward to. So we're going to sign up so that we've spent the money, we're going to do this, we're committed to a specific date, we can train up into that point. And so find a way to get yourself motivated, because it's going to be huge for you to like really start running that way. And so
I would say for me, the motivation, like, because I don't care about all the actual like running things. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to, like, that's just not me. But running has really, along with obviously like my Weight Watchers and losing weight, running has really helped change my body so that I was able to go shopping and get new clothes.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say, like, obviously, if you're more like me, like, have goals, but then also have like fun rewards, like go try on a new pair of jeans, or go get, even if the number doesn't change, like, if you're consistent, I would say probably within like probably 6 to 8 weeks, you will notice something change on your something. Yeah, for
sure. Because even with me, like, I started noticing my legs looked a little bit thinner, like there's just things that help, and it completely kicked me out of my sort of weird plateau that I was in. So it booted me out, too. And like, since I've been running, I've been really consistent with weight loss. It's 2 to 3 pounds every single week, and so
I would say I'm a little less consistent than, but actually I'm pretty consistent. I've been losing in general 1 to 2 pounds. It's more on the 1 pound thing, but that's still within the healthy thing. And I really feel like since I've been consistent with running, that has helped a lot.
Yeah, that's key. Consistency, being motivated, like finding the right shoes, making sure that you put anti-chafe stuff down. So those are all really good things. But really the thing that's going to help with you running and starting running is just to go out and do it. And so we recommend it because it's really helped us a lot,
And it's easy, like, it's not easy, but it's a very low barrier, low entry point,
yeah. There's no skill needed to put your feet in front of each other.
Excuse me. What? I would like to say that there is skill. I would not recommend running like a princess. Okay.
I guess that's true. But
I had to be taught that my dad was like, long strides, Amy, long strides. Because I wanted to do
run like this.
No, like this with.
Oh, like this? With your pinkies up?
Probably. I was a delight as a child, let me tell you.
Well, thanks for watching with us today. Hopefully this was helpful. If it's helpful, let us know if any of these tips helped, or if you have any tips that we didn't mention that might help us.
Because we're still learning.
We're still learning this. We're not experts. We're still brand new to this whole thing, but we just wanted to talk about it because it's become pretty important to us.
Yeah, it has been. Like, despite the fact that I'm like all like, I'm not a runner, I'm not into things. I am a runner. And it's something I do consistently, and I think it's been really, really positive in a lot of areas of my life.
Yeah. So, thanks for joining us today. If you
hit the button.
Yeah, if you're new, hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. And we will see you tomorrow with the next video, because it is Vlogmas.
We have lots of videos.
We have lots of videos this month, so thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.